Peace and happiness for everyone. Horeini Adonai darakecha. Teach me, Hashem, your ways. Yom-Ha'tzmaut and Shabbat with a double Parashat Acharei mot and k'doshim. Tafshin Pei Gimel. Sometimes children ask very innocent, sweet questions, and sometimes we discover that these sweet questions are actually very deep questions. For several years, we have been giving our children, now our grandchildren, Baruch Hashem, prizes at the Seder, at Leila Seder, for asking good questions. Several years ago, our youngest daughter asked me a question at the Seder. Abba, why does Mashiach need Eliyahu? Children grow up, they hear about Mashiach. They also hear about Eliyahu and Navi. At the Seder, we greet Eliyahu. We open the door and Eliyahu comes in. So she says to me, why do we need Eliyahu for the redemption, for the Geulah? Mashiach doesn't manage on his own. Why does Mashiach need Eliyahu? Great question. I'm sure I gave her a great prize for asking such a great question. But what is the answer to this sweet, deep question? It took me time to realize, to remember, to find the source. The last Mishnah at the end of Masechet Eduyot says the following. Be'etzem, the Tanaim are asking themselves, what is Eliyahu coming to do? The prophet Malachi, at the end of Nevuah, the end of all the prophets in Tanakh, the last two psukim of prophecy in Tanakh, the prophet Malachi says, Hinei anochi sholech lechem, I am sending you Eliyahu Navi, ve'ishiv lev avot al banim, ve'lev banim al avotam. He will return the heart of the fathers to the children, and the heart of the children to their father. But what is this about? What does it mean? What is Eliyahu's role? And in the last Mishnah in Masechet Eduyot, Rabbi Yoshua says, Halacha Moshe Sinai, Eliyahu comes to bring back people who were forcefully, violently taken out of Am Yisrael, and to take away people who forcefully, violently pushed their way into Am Yisrael. And Chachamim say, Eliyahu is not about bringing people back in or sending away people, Ela lasot shalom ba'olam, to make peace in the world. That is the role of Eliyahu, and he quotes the pasuk from Malachi, Ve'eshiv lev avot al banim, he will return the heart of the fathers to the children and of the children to the father. How is this making peace in the world? What does this mean? Why does Mashiach need Eliyahu to bring peace in the world? Mashiach is a leader. Mashiach is leading a derech, a way in Am Yisrael. We have different leaders, and sometimes we have different leaders at the same time, and each one has his set of beliefs, his principles, and he's teaching and he's leading a derech of something very important. Sometimes these different derechs, these different ways, these different principles clash with one another. They all carry value, but the leaders are about principles, about leading a way, about paving a path. And sometimes they are not capable of making peace between these important values that each one of them is leading. So Mashiach needs Eliyahu to take the different principles and put them together. There is a tremendous Gemara that speaks about the different names of Mashiach. There's no time to get into the details here, but it turns out, as the Maharal explains, that all these different names are representative of different great scholars, rabbis, leaders, and each one, each Talmid, each student is saying, each disciple is saying, my Rabbi is Mashiach, and Maharal says, they're all right. Each one of the leaders, the Rebbes, is part of the Mashiach, part of the redemption. But what we need to do is put them all together, make peace between these different values so that it will be constructive. And that is the role of Eliyahu. And oh, how important is that in these times. And if we look at Parashat Acharei mot-k'doshim, there are so many different mitzvot, such a variety of mitzvot. Parashat K'doshim starts daber el kol adat bnei Yisrael ve'amarta alehem k'doshim tiyu. All of Am Yisrael should be holy. But there are so many realms, so many examples, so many ways, important ways of being holy in Parashat Acharei mot-k'doshim. Just to take one example, one of the principles of holiness in Parashat Acharei mot is you shall not follow their statutes, bechokotehem lo telechu, and the idea that Eretz Yisrael will throw out people who do not observe the prohibitions of incest. That's one way of being holy, and I can see a leader pushing us away of ways of the non-Jews and telling us how important it is to be very careful about Jewish values, about tzniut, modesty, and so on. And then there could be another leader who's all about justice and ve'avta l'reacha kamocha, love another person, and of tzedakah. These mitzvot are also there in Parashat Acharei mot-k'doshim. One leader is pushing this one leader is pushing that one. They're both right. We need Eliyahu to make peace between these different mitzvot. I can see one leader taking these mitzvot from Acharei mot-k'doshim and one leader taking the other. Each one of them may be stressing one, which is great. Chas v'shalom may be neglecting the other, which is not good. And we need Eliyahu to give both leaders their place and their weight and to enable them to work together peacefully. Mashiach needs Eliyahu to bring peace between the different leaders and the different principles and values, and that will be Geulah, that will be redemption. This is true also about Medinat Israel in our times, and what a sweet question, and how deep is this sweet question and the answer to this sweet, deep question. Yom-Ha'tzmaut Sameach, all the best blessings to Am Yisrael, to Medinat Israel. Let us make peace between all the important values, and Shabbat Shalom for Parashat Acharei mot-k'doshim.